These referees are calling, they're blind. Like, I don't know what they're calling or they're told to call. I don't know. Is the WNBA commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, calling these, making them do these goofy calls. It's not good basketball. It's pretty obvious. The fans see it. I mean, it's blatant. Like,
the WNBA finds itself at the center of an unprecedented crisis as fans, players, and analysts unite in calling for Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's suspension, following what many are labeling systematic bias against the league's biggest star. Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever's phenomenal rookie, has become the target of relentless physical play, questionable officiating decisions, and what appears to be a deliberate campaign to diminish her impact on the game.
What is the Caitlin Clark effect? And here is what Google told me. The Caitlin Clark effect refers to the significant increase in popularity and visibility of women's basketball, particularly in the WNBA, driven by the rising star of Caitlin Clark. Her record-breaking performances and engaging personality have captivated audiences, leading to increased attendance, media coverage, and overall interest in the sport.
With Clark now sidelined due to injury and mounting evidence of preferential treatment towards certain teams, the basketball community has reached a breaking point that threatens the very foundation of women's professional basketball. The controversy centers on systemic officiating failures, perceived bias against Clark, and Engelbert's inability to address mounting concerns about players' safety and competitive integrity.
Of the month, the chickens was coming home to roost for the WNBA, because I'm telling you right now, there has been a lot of spooky things going on and people is tired of it. And quite frankly, the viewership is going down. See, the viewership was supposed to have been going up exponential. Bang! How it took off last year. And I'm here to tell you that is not happening. Only team that is averaging 1 million views per game and looking like it's on track to maintain their viewership for the most part.
The situation reached a boiling point on May 26, 2025, when the Indiana Fever announced that Caitlin Clark would be sidelined for at least 2 weeks. With a left quadricep strain, this injury came on the heels of yet another controversial game against the New York Liberty, where Clark logged nearly 38 minutes of playtime, while enduring what many observers characterized as deliberate physical targeting.
I'm telling you right now, man, Caitlin Clark's shot was off, bro. These last couple games, she was not shooting well from three. We all seen it. She's missing a bunch of shots. I believe Caitlin Clark's been hurt, bro.
The timing couldn't be more suspicious. Just as Clark was establishing herself as the face of the WNBA, she finds herself on the injured list after months of what fans are calling systematic abuse. But here's where things get absolutely insane. This isn't just about one injury or one bad game. We're talking about a pattern so blatant, so obvious, that even casual basketball fans are starting to question whether they're watching a legitimate sporting competition or some kind of manufactured drama designed to keep the league's biggest star in check.
I can come to is they want it to fail.
They're calling hand check fouls on their biggest player. Could you imagine LeBron getting hand check fouls, or anybody, SGA, whomever, the biggest star is getting hand check? Yes, it may not be the only reason, but it doesn't help. You're absolutely right. But yes, you're sitting that star player, that cash cow, on the bench. And honestly, she is WNBA. Caitlin Clark is the only reason people are watching.
Sells out home and away.
Yes.
Every single.
If you're enjoying, please subscribe. Clark's treatment contrasts sharply with the league's marketing reliance on her stardom, while Angel Burt praised Clark's transformative impact on WNBA revenue, and media deals her administration allowed referees to permit excessive physicality. Against her, the numbers don't lie. And they paint a picture that would make even the most conspiracy-minded sports fans sit up and take notice game. Footage and statistical analysis reveal a troubling trend. Referees routinely ignored fouls against Clark, while penalizing her for minor infractions. In one game, Clark received a technical foul for saying "come on" too loudly after opponents committed fouls that were not called. This double standard fueled accusations that officials were swallowing whistles to undermine her impact. Consider this jaw-dropping statistic: Caitlin Clark has been the victim of 17% of all flagrant fouls committed in the entire WNBA. This season, let that sink in for a moment. One player in a league with hundreds of athletes has absorbed nearly one of the most serious fouls the game has to offer. But it gets even more ridiculous. 80% of those flagrant fouls against Clark have come from a single team, the Chicago Sky, What are the odds of that happening by pure chance practically zero you to better luck winning the lottery while being struck by lightning on a leap year? This isn't basketball. This is targeted harassment with whistles and uniforms.
Player that's worth paying the money for it. Caitlin Clark comes along. What do, WNBA? You beat her up. You treat her like crap. You treat her like she's dog doo-doo, dude. I never seen this in any sport, bro.
The data tells a story that the WNBA's leadership seems desperate to ignore. According to comprehensive analysis of the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called throughout the entire league. Clark was on the receiving end of 6 of them. To put this in perspective, other star players like Sadis Sabali received 4 flagrant fouls in 38 games, while Aerial Powers absorbed 5 in 35 games. The difference, those players weren't systematically targeted by specific teams the way Clark has been, but let's dig deeper into Chicago Sky situation, because this is where the conspiracy theories start looking more like documented fact. The Sky didn't just commit flagrant fouls against Clark, they made it their mission statement. For out of Clark's 5 flagrant fouls in 2024 came courtesy of Chicago players. That's not competitive basketball. That a coordinated campaign designed to intimidate and injure the most infuriating part. Everyone saw it happening. Fans were screaming about it on social. Media coaches were complaining to officials, and basketball analysts were documenting every missed call. And not all, yet Commissioner Engelbert and her officiating crew continued to pretend like nothing was wrong, like this was just normal competitive play between rival. All right.
Now, this is what I'm going to say about this situation, is the Fever players, you got to know, this is how they're going to ref your games. They're going to let Caitlin Clark be held, be hand-checked, have her arm chopped, and they're barely going to call fouls, because of players are going to get away with what they get away with. If you allow a player to foul a player all game long, guess what? They're going to foul them all game long.
If you thought the flagrant foul statistics were bad, wait until you hear about the officiating disasters that have plagued Clark's games. Take the recent contest against the New York Liberty, a game that should have been a showcase for the league's rising star. Instead, it turned into a masterclass in how to rig a basketball game while maintaining plausible deniability. The referees in that game displayed such obvious bias that even casual observers were questioning their competence or their integrity. Clark was hammered on drive after drive to the basket with contact so obvious that replay officials in slow motion couldn't miss it, yet the whistles remained silent. Meanwhile, Liberty players were drawing phantom fouls on minimal contact, creating a free throw disparity so lopsided it looked like the fix was in. Coach Stephanie White didn't mince words after the game, expressing her frustration with officiating that she characterized as fundamentally unfair. But here's the kicker: White isn't some rookie coach prone to emotional outbursts. She's a veteran who understands the game and knows when something isn't right. When experienced coaches start questioning the integrity of officiating, you know the problem has moved beyond simple incompetence into something more sinister. The most egregious example came in the final seconds of that Liberty game, when Clark drove to the basket with a chance to tie the score. The contact was clear, the foul was obvious, yet the officials swallowed their whistles and let New York escape a victory they didn't earn. It's the kind of non-all that makes fans question whether they're watching legitimate competition or predetermined outcomes.
We know it was terrible. We absolutely know the refereeing was shocking. Like, it was one of the worst referee games I've ever seen down the stretch. Like, it looked like it was rigged. It looked like it was rigged. There's no other way to describe it. It looked like it was rigged. I'm not saying it was rigged. I don't think it was rigged. It looked like it was rigged. And I tweeted this out last night. That if the WNBA is not rigged, they're doing a great job of looking like.
This brings us to the heart of the matter. Commissioner Kathy Angelbert's complete failure to address what has become the most obvious officiating scandal in recent WNBA history. Despite mounting evidence, fan outrage, and player complaints, Angelbert has remained conspicuously silent about the systematic targeting of her league's biggest draw. But Engelbert's problems go far beyond just the Clark situation. She's already faced significant criticism for her tone-deaf handling of racism and harassment issues within the league. When asked about the dark side of social media and racist harassment directed at WNBA players, Engelbert's response was so inadequate that it prompted immediate backlash from players across the league. Her inability to address serious issues with appropriate gravity has become a pattern that fans and players are no longer willing to tolerate the Clark controversy has simply exposed what many have suspected for months. Angel Burt is either unwilling or unable to protect the league stars from obvious bias and systematic targeting. Whether it's conscious favoritism towards certain franchises or simple incompetence, the result is the same. The WNBA's credibility is being destroyed one missed call at a time.
What is the WNBA referee question? He stated she could have got a bunch of calls, but she just skipped right over it.
I think, again, that's why this year sustain the momentum we had last year and gain even new viewers, because if you look at, we're up triple digits in every category, in every demographic, and young people, old people, young girls and boys were having watch parties and watching our games, so it was incredible.
This is so bad. She avoided the WNBA referee questions about the calls with the physical.
The most telling aspect of this entire controversy has been the unprecedented fan response. WNBA supporters aren't just complaining about individual calls or questioning specific decisions. They're organizing, documenting evidence, and demanding systemic change. Social media platforms are flooded with video compilations showing missed calls against Clark's statistical analyses, proving bias, and calls for accountability that grow louder with each passing game. This fan revolt represents something unique. In professional sports, a grassroots movement demanding fair treatment for a player who has single-handedly elevated interest in women's basketball to unprecedented levels. Clark's impact on the WNBA has been transformative. Attendance is up, television ratings are climbing, and mainstream media attention has reached levels the league has never experienced. Yet, instead of protecting this golden goose, the league's leadership appears determined to let her be battered into submission. The irony is staggering. The WNBA finally has a superstar it has desperately needed for decades, a player capable of bringing casual fans into the fold and generating the kind of excitement that translates into revenue and growth. Yet the officiating and administrative response suggests an organization more interested in maintaining existing power structures than capitalizing on generational talent.
Stephanie White, she just admitted that she got fined. For what? She just got fined for saying she wants the officiating to be fair. She said,
what makes this situation so devastating for the WNBA is the timing. Women's professional basketball is experiencing unprecedented growth, with new fans discovering the sport and existing supporters becoming more engaged than ever before. Clark's rookie season was supposed to be a celebration of this progress, a coming-out party for a league ready to take its place among major professional sports. Instead, we're witnessing a slow-motion disaster that threatens to undermine everything the WNBA has worked to build. New fans who tune in to watch Clark play are instead seeing obvious bias, questionable officiating, and a league that seems more interested in manufactured drama than legitimate competition. These aren't lifelong basketball fans who will stick around despite poor officiating. These are casual observers who will simply find something else to watch if the product feels rigged. The Clark injury serves as a perfect metaphor for the league's broader dysfunction. Here's a player who has brought more attention and excitement to women's basketball than anyone since Diana Taurasi, yet she's been systematically targeted and physically abused to the point where she's now sidelined with an injury that could have been prevented with proper officiating.
Reason why the merch sales are what they are. The reason why there's such potential for the future is because Caitlin Clark can flat out play basketball. She is that one. She really is. And if you didn't realize it before she got injured, you certainly realize it right now, unless you're putting blinders on and absolutely pretending. The Caitlin Clark effect is all those things that I said, but those things all hinge on the fact that she is a basketball talent unlike we have ever seen in the women's basketball.
She is that one, she really is. And if you didn't realize it before she got injured, you certainly realize it right now, unless you're putting blinders on and absolutely pretending the Caitlin Clark effect is all those things that I said. But those things all hinge on the fact that she is a basketball talent unlike we have ever seen in the women's basketball. The calls for Commissioner Angel Burt's suspension aren't just emotional reactions from frustrated fans. They represent a legitimate demand for Accountability from a leadership structure that has failed at the most basic level. Multiple sources within the league have suggested that pressure has been mounting behind the scenes, with team owners and executives reportedly questioning Angel Bert's handling of various controversies. Whether or not Angel Bert is ultimately suspended or forced to resign, the damage to the WNBA's credibility may already be irreversible.
This league is a joke. Kathy Engelbert should be ashamed of herself and just resign. She's garbage for this league. She's a garbage. They need a new commissioner, bro. They need me as commissioner. First of all, cut all this crap out. Let's just play some freaking basketball. Make the league about basketball. Isn't it a basketball league? Make it about basketball.
The Clark controversy has exposed fundamental problems with officiating, administration, and competitive integrity that go far beyond any single commissioner or individual decision. The league finds itself at a crossroads. It can continue down the current path of questionable officiating and administrative dysfunction, risking the loss of its most marketable star and the fans she's brought with her, or it can implement serious reforms designed to ensure fair competition and protect players' safety. The choice should be obvious, but given the WNBA's track record under current leadership, nothing can be taken for granted. Caitlin Clark deserves better. The fans deserve better. And the future of women's professional basketball depends on the league's willingness to acknowledge these problems and take meaningful action to address them. The clock is ticking, and with each passing day of inaction, the WNBA risks squandering the greatest opportunity in its